Hi everyone, Karibu. This evening we have for you one of our awesome guests that made the journey all the way from Aruba to Tanzania. He traveled with his beautiful wife and their two sons, and it's their first time in Africa. And I wanted to do this video with them before they leave, so that they can share their experiences. Other people can get an education, a firsthand education that didn't, that comes from people who are coming from other places as well, not just the US. So with me, we have brother Sonny, and I'm going to turn it around so Sonny can say hi and introduce himself.
Hi everyone, Karibu. Yeah, so my name is Sonny Joseph Richardson, and we came all the way from Aruba, as Renee said. And I am originally was born in Grenada and migrated to Aruba as a husband and a father, businessman, and it's a pleasure to be on the continent. First time, it's one of those journey. I say every African or everyone who see themselves as a descendants of Africans have to make that journey to the continent, one place or another. Like how the Muslims go to the Hajj.
Yes.
As Africans, we have to do this at least once in our lifetime.
Wow. So you're just like really knocking the nail on the head, because I want to get from you, like, this is the first time in Africa. You're a mature man, and when did you start to feel like you wanted to come to Africa?
Funny. Africa has always been a part of my upbringing because I'm a reggae child.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
The Bob, the Bunny Wailer. You go across the board. Reggae Isaac, the Lovers Rock, Barrington Levy, the rest. I mean,
it's stitched into the culture, into the music.
Yeah. Besides calypso and soca and thing, but when it comes to conscious music,
yes,
that has always been a part. I remember having a little transistor radio in Grenada, watching cricket on a Sunday when Bob Marley came up with this song about blast off on a spaceship.
Blast off on the spaceship, right?
Yeah, and I can remember,
million miles from reality.
Yeah. No care for you, no
care for you, no care for me.
Yeah, so from that aspect, Africa has always been there, but I've never, you kind of like, maybe you become accustomed as you hear it so much.
Yes.
I mean, take Burning Spear and the rest of them, and but as you mature,
yes,
because I've had my ride, so to speak, my single days. I move around. I even traveled through Europe a little bit. I went on my single days, and after a while, you kind of like there's a
yearning.
Yes.
To be with
Africans. You look at global politics, the geopolitics. You look at food security. You look at nutrition and food.
Yes.
And me coming from an island and living on another island where everything is pretty much imported.
Yes.
Whether it's in a can or you had to get anything fresh. And I know on some of the other islands or in Africa, and then I started watching YouTube and I see people picking fruits and eat. You get that
yearning. Yes.
So to answer your question, I cannot pinpoint a day or time frame. But in terms of having a family, I would say COVID.
Yes, kind of expedited that open your eyes a little more to move a little faster.
Yeah, because I used to think of retiring probably in Grenada or some other place, because for me, I want to retire on a farm.
Yes.
Be able to be self-sustained.
Yes.
If you could do a little extra business or you pay people to work the farm, stuff like that. But that's my goal, to be able to do that sometime down the line.
Yeah. So I ask you that question because we in the Caribbean, we don't have a date or a point in time where we can say, well, I became illuminated to Africa in my teens. The indoctrination happens, I think, in the womb. The minute we're born, it's in the air that where you come from, you know who you are, and you're filled with a sense of pride and identity. And so there is a desire to connect with Africa that you cannot express
Yeah.
to anyone else who doesn't also understand it.
Yeah, it's inexplicable.
Yeah, and it's very inexplicable. And in my case, I knew I would at some point in my life I wanted to move to Africa, and I refused to get involved with anyone who would keep me in the West. Anyone that I wanted to get involved with had to be African minded, had to be Afrocentric, with that look eye towards Africa.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that it's you and Celeste who have this beautiful outlook towards Africa, towards the opportunities,
Yeah.
towards, at least looking at it as a vacation option, because you guys are Arubans. You could have gone anywhere.
True.
Would have probably been
Yeah,
cheaper.
especially the cost. Yeah. So it was,
Yes.
it was a big decision.
Yes. So I genuinely appreciate that at least there was an open mind, even though the cost was more, to even look at it and say, you know what, we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and let's go. So how has that experience been, touching down in Africa for the first time with not just your wife, your children, because this is something that you have given them that they will never forget, and it will never leave them. How was that?
The experience was I kind of like knew it might be different. Didn't know how it would be because we are on the East.
Yeah.
Because the umbilical cord, if you want to put it,
Yes,
if you
is
go
West.
back with the ancestors,
Yes.
everybody talk about the West.
West.
Central Africa, go back to the
Yes.
West, And watching, I'm the the follower of YouTube in the family. So every evening when I finish work, sometime while I'm working, since we run a little business, I'm able to do pretty much listen to what I want while I work.
Yes.
So they would hear it, and they would hear me listening to whether it's a Wadamaya. I mean,
Yes.
I've been following you from way back. We'll get into that
Yes.
probably later.
Yeah.
But so the spiritual, or maybe you might have feel something walking, but I'm someone who do grounding a little bit. So I walk almost every day barefoot for at least 20 minutes sometime when I get up in the morning around my yard and in the back and so.
Yes.
So, as some people say, you feel the freedom, you feel different things. I think when I land or flying over was the vastness of Africa. I mean,
Yes.
I could see miles or as far as the eyes can see. And sometimes you don't see a mountain way in it. And I'm thinking, man, look how much food I can plant. And look how much what I can do. So
Africa is here for me to plant, to cultivate.
There's no reason why we should be hungry.
None.
When I look at the airport, the way we fly over there, the airport look like a whole place by itself. So big, the space.
Yes, and modern.
Yeah.
And modern, and I
must say, yes.
Yes,
Definitely.
I will definitely give the Tanzanians that, like, as far as their architecture and their modernity, they are miles ahead from what I've seen from the West and other places. So I will give the Tanzanians, that listen, these people have spent some time on their civilization.
Yeah. So we flew in, we land, and I came out and I was like, man, this feels like the Caribbean on steroids.
Exactly.
Literally. So take Coronation Market, take St. George's Market, wherever you want to go, any market, and multiply it by 1,000
times.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that for the Caribbean people, that is an explanation. I think most of you would agree with me.
Yes.
Man.
That is exactly, those are words I say in my head. Like, this is the Caribbean, but 10 times, people ask me, why don't you go to Jamaica? And no, Jamaica is an island.
Yeah.
And who was it that said, I will never give up a continent for Marcus Garvey?
I think
Yes.
living to England.
Yes, I will never give up a continent for an island.
And that's the thing, you know, our mind, because of how uh, we have been taught, or the maps that we've seen, we have not put Africa, the continent, into perspective in
Yes.
terms of its vastness,
Yes.
size. And right now, I just call America a little country.
It is
300 million people. It's just a little country.
You can fit a lot of it inside
the whole of Western Europe.
Yes.
So that mindset, or that mindship, or that mind, how you say, be able to expand.
Yes.
See Africa in those kind of perspectives.
Yes.
Yeah. We have to. That mindset has to be changed, and it has to be passed on to the next generation. And beyond.
Yes. Yeah. True. So tell me, how was your experience with Tanzanians? So you don't speak Swahili and you can use like basic things to get around, but how was that? How did they treat you? How was that experience being here with Tanzanians? How did you feel about being here? Did they make you feel welcome? How was that?
In two folds. As a Muzungu, that's one part of it. They will look, you know, they look to charge and so forth. And then I say, Kaka, I want the Rafiki price. I say, Kaka, you cannot treat me like a Muzungu. Then the face change.
Yes.
The face change, the reaction change, the mere fact that I'm trying to say one or two words.
Yes.
And by the way, Rafiki is brother,
friend.
Friend, and Kaka is brother. You know, and then the face would light up. And sometimes they start going down in Swahili, and I like to say, no. Only know a couple of words, you know. So that changes, and he said, no, okay, then I give you a brotherly price.
Right. We hear a lot about the price, but I mean the people, like outside of like the bargaining and you know the negotiating. I'm sure you meet people that you talk to, that you interact with. Like how, you know, I find them to be very warm.
Yes, but the language is a big barrier.
Yeah, it is.
Really have a deep conversation.
Yeah.
Most of if you find one who does not be able to relate or to express themselves completely, then that's a little buffer there. But other than that, definitely. I met a gentleman walking out. I think he said he knew you. He's
across, tall guy.
Yeah. And we were walking, and he was asking about university, and he was a bachelor, I think, in social studies or something like that. And we got into talking, and he was very interested. But one of the funny, peculiar thing, most of them think that once they hear Caribbean, they would say Jamaica.
Yes.
Or the next thing is that they think the Caribbean is like one island.
Called Jamaica.
Yeah. And I would have to explain it. I said, no. It's like 20 odd or 20 plus islands. And you know very similar, but still different. And
I had friends from Trinidad and St. Vincent and other places. And only when I got older did I know that they weren't Jamaican.
Okay.
Because they gave up. They just said because it was very difficult to try to explain. Called the Caribbean. It's a community, and we're Caribbean, but not, you know, Jamaican. So and I've had other guests who also are Caribbean, like from Barbados. So what I've said, how to explain it is like how you have Africa and you have South Africa and Tanzania.
Yeah.
In the Caribbean, you have Jamaica and you have other countries too. And that helps.
What I did was call a couple of artists, the Rihanna from that side, the this, and this, but Mali. But I must say, Renee.
Yes.
In everyone that I meet or who ask where I'm from, and we started a little conversation.
Yeah.
The Jamaicans has to be proud of themselves.
Oh, thank you.
Off a little island with, like we said earlier, probably about 3 million or 3 point something million living on it, and the impact that Jamaica has on the world.
Yes, is enormous.
Yeah.
And
you know, I'm a Gabian.
Yes.
But beyond that, but just the music, Bob,
Yes.
reggae music. And but it can go both ways. It can go both folds. Huh? And
Yeah.
I'm an avid listener of Muta.
Muta. Mm-hmm.
Definitely, and Muta I talk about it. I heard him mention those kind of things
Mm-hmm.
before as to all where he go.
Yes.
Because one of the drivers when I asked him, he said, Vice Cartel.
Hank.
I said, okay.
Wrong
Vice
Jamaican.
Cartel is not the exact or the positive message. It's not about the music, but the
Yes,
message
the
of
message.
that
Yes.
group. I say it's not the message I want to give you from the Caribbean.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, that's something I was floored by as well here, you know. But in my travels, I've learned to really appreciate the mark that Jamaicans have
Yeah.
made.
Yeah,
And
man.
this is why, like, the way I do what I do, I try to elevate that or hold that up, because that is what people are looking at
Yeah.
to say, you know, you are a Jamaican and this is your representation. And if there are no other Jamaicans for miles around, this is what they're looking at.
And in my own opinion, Jamaicans are a little ahead in the relay, if you want to call it that,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to or acceptance or knowing that they know maybe to expect certain things from you.
Yes.
So I think you guys have something you have to, as you said, protect that name
Yes.
out there.
Yeah, there is an expectation.
Yes.
There's a bar.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Because if you say Jamaica, they'll say Usain Bolt,
Mhm.
Bob Marley,
Yeah.
Shelley Ann
Yeah.
Fraser,
Yeah.
Marcus Garvey.
Yeah.
You know, I was
Mhm.
in Zanzibar talking to someone, and you know, it was a business conversation, and they were going around and around and around and around and in different directions,
Mhm.
far from where we needed to be.
Mhm.
And then, you know, after I brought him back, he said, "Well, where are you from?" Because he's starting to realize now that you're dealing with someone who understands this game very well. So
Yeah.
don't play games.
Mhm.
And I said, Jamaica. And he called me inside his office and showed me a picture of Marcus Garvey
Okay.
in his
You see?
office.
So we have big shoes to fill.
We have
Yeah,
huge
we gotta
shoes
keep
to
up.
fill.
Yeah.
And, you know, so trying to build on, like, me being here, I'm standing on really, really
Yeah,
high
that's good.
shoulders. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
standing on really, really high shoulders. So I'm trying to make the best, you know, do the best that I can with all the opportunities that I have presented with me.
And let me just, put always a disclaimer. I'm not trying to take away anything
From
any
anyone.
other
Yes.
Caribbean island.
Yes. And that I appreciate that. You know, we're not trying to talk down anyone else.
No, definitely
But what
not.
we're talking about is, the thing is, Jamaica's place in the world. And I don't think a lot of people realize Jamaica's place in the world. Jamaica's was Britain's first maritime conquest.
Okay.
In 1655, Penn and Venables captured it from the Spaniards.
Okay.
It was the first time England knew that they could defeat Spain.
Okay.
It was the first time they knew that they could, following the Spanish Armada, that they could actually have something that belonged to Spain. And so they have spent a lot of time. We're very international people. We have a lot of interconnectedness globally. If you go to Dubai, there is a network of Jamaicans, not just in Dubai, but also in Abu Dhabi. If you go to Beijing, there is a network of Jamaicans.
Okay.
We have a very strong diplomatic relationships following those interconnectedness from the British. So, and also um, obviously speaking English, helps us. Everyone else in the Caribbean speaks English as well. But when you look at the geopolitical position of Jamaica in that tri-island community of, you have Cuba, you have the Dominican Republic and Haiti, and then you have Jamaica.
Yeah.
So those two countries, one speaks Spanish and French and Creole, and then Jamaica speaks English.
Yeah.
So in that entire section, we have managed to make headways in places where other islands have not been able to make that kind of headway. So because of that British network, any little thing wrong in the world, they go and get Jamaicans. They wanted to build the Panama Canal, they go and get the Jamaicans. They wanted to rebuild England after Germany bombed them, they go and they get the Jamaicans, the Caribbeans to come and rebuild. So we've managed to spread ourselves globally. And here in East Africa, we have managed to spread ourselves in the political atmosphere. Yes, politically, we have managed to spread ourselves. So there is an opportunity that presents itself with the people who actually know the history and politics on the African continent. Ghana as well, Kenya, Tanzania. These are places where Jamaicans have been influential in the independence of these countries, from a legal perspective, as far as forming the country and forming the constitution, with working with Nyerere, working with Kenyatta. So those have been, that's a part of our legacy. Okay. And so we are not afraid of Africa. And when you listen to music like Bob Marley, we're gonna chop it in a Zimbabwe, you know. Yeah.
It brings a whole different vibe to the music.
Oh yes. It actually
it brings it full circle.
Full circle.
But before we jump up, I think one other island that was mentioned, and I have to give them their props also, on a whole different, maybe a political or freedom fighting spectrum, is Cuba.
Cuba, oh gosh.
Che and Fidel.
Yes.
Almost everyone I spoke to.
Yes. Knew who Fidel was.
Yeah.
And knew know who's Fidel and know who Che Guevara is.
Yeah.
And it helps in if you have a freedom fighting consciousness that you were raised with, you know, that you have been looking at counter influences from America and the West, and you can look at counter information, how news is presented and how news actually is, you know, and so that spirit is alive and well here. Right? It opens your eyes to even the structure of what the country is like. It's a republic. It is not a democratic country. It's a republic. It is built on certain foundations and certain things that helps it to adhere to a certain sense of identity. And at the time when Tanzania was being formed, those ideals were the things, some people would call it socialism. So yes, socialism, Marxist ideals, giving power to the people is what was holding the country together to form its own identity. So and the same in China. China is a republic, and it was built on those ideals. You know, you can't necessarily own land because the land is vested into the state. So it is not a matter of contention or a matter of question. It is that everything belongs to the state, because when you try to own and control everything in the capitalistic mindset that you were raised and bred in, what happens is you have the tendency, or people have the tendency, to amass everything for themselves and then leave nothing for anyone.
The selfish mentality.
The selfish mentality. So they have things in place to for checks and balances. Right. So at the end of the day, no one owns land. We're all born. None of us were. None of us were born with pockets, and none of us were born with a title deed in our hand. Right. The idea of not owning land doesn't necessarily mean you cannot own land. Like you cannot have property that you can develop, that you can get a title in your name, that you can use to borrow against, that you can use to hand down to your children. So those things are essential to understanding. And I think a lot of people coming from the West don't get this Ubuntu idea.
I
This,
am because
yeah, I am because you are. You know, I am or we are because I am.
yes,
You
yes.
understand? So th- that kind of concept in the Western world is foreign.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's a lot of things that go through the window. Yeah. So in that regard, I will say yes. Um, understanding the climate in Tanzania, how they live, how they do things, how they do business. We have to also understand that not everything that we have been taught is right either.
Yeah, there's so many different ways that things could be done.
Yes.
Yeah, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Yep.
and what I've been doing is looking when the little mini markets or some of the stuff, when I pick up products, I would look and see where they make.
Okay, I do that too.
Just to get an idea.
Okay,
And
yeah.
see, because I don't know the curriculum here. I haven't been here long enough.
Yes.
I'm not, and by the way, these are just my opinions. I'm not drawing no judgment,
Yes.
you know. So, but I am feeling good when I see
Made in.
good, yeah,
Made in.
Tanzania.
Thank you.
Those stuff on the shelf. Once I see those products, I say, hey, at least we are starting to do some agro processing. We are starting to do
Yes.
that those is coming into play.
Yes.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. We're growing some rice.
Yes.
Let's see how much we can grow.
Yes.
And hopefully with the AU African Free Trade Agreement,
Wow.
that we could work with each other, man.
Wow.
I mean, just imagine if we could start trading across the
Borders.
you know?
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
right now we can.
Mhm.
So the company that I have, the East Africa Seaweed Company, so being registered in Tanzania
Yeah.
gives us the opportunity to trade in the East Africa bloc. So
Okay.
it's, as investors, we have freedom of movement in all of the East African bloc countries. And then right now there is trade happening that is happening between Ghana and between Tanzania. Things are coming in, but what I realize is those who are ready are leading.
Okay.
If you remember when the European Union before it actually rolled out fully, right? Because it's been going, developing from sometimes from like the 70s and 80s, and then in the 90s it took real shape and form for immigration and currency and movement. Yes, and movement of people and goods. And that took at least 40 years to get there. And we have to remember that we're talking about currency, people. Right now, if you want to go to go to South Africa, you need a visa. Okay. And you have people who have illegally traveled to Botswana, to Tanzania. So there is a lot of illegal movement of people that everyone is trying to avoid because they're thinking about their crushing resources. So it takes a time for that to happen. But right now, the freedom of goods, the movement of goods, as long as you're on the African continent right now in business, you have the entire 54 country at your disposal for the movement of goods and trade. It's easier, it's not official, but there are certain things that like don't make sense, like the cost of shipping because there weren't logistics in place. And this is why we appreciate Magufuli, because he understood putting in the rail system, putting in the roads, putting in the infrastructure that's needed to move, trucks and trains to get goods moving in and out.
Yeah, because you have so many landlocked countries.
Yes. Yes.
Into Central Africa,
right.
Interior of most of the
right.
places, you really need how you say good infrastructure to move goods around.
Yes, absolutely. So in that regard, I think it takes time. But at the same time, those who are a little bit more prepared will lead. And what I mean by that is, if you look, for example, the Kenyans They read English. They
Okay.
write
Yeah,
English.
yeah.
One of the issues that I find in Tanzania is people may speak English, but they don't read English. They
Okay.
cannot read English. And it becomes an issue when it comes to understanding the law,
Okay.
because the laws are written in English, but Swahili is the official language. Whereas you as an English speaker might be more versed in the law than a Tanzanian, and those things are like evident
Yeah.
in the way how certain things are conducted.
I could imagine.
Yes, and it creates a lot of confusion. But those of us who are here, what you find is Kenya, though the largest port is in East Africa is in Dar es Salaam, Kenya, the Kenyans are prepared because they speak English, they read English,
Okay.
they have an American and a Caribbean presence that is already there, that is already working towards certain things. And so they are already coming here. But the Tanzanians are not prepared, even though most of the resources are here.
Yeah.
They're not prepared to cross the border because, number one, it's difficult and expensive to do business. So while we're hampered down with paperwork and
Yeah.
taxes and excessive things here that we have to answer, the Kenyans can just come. And so that's what they're doing. So in every aspect, when this free trade and these open borders start, you're going to find that certain economies are going to dominate beyond others, even though they have more resources. They're not prepared to meet the demand and the market and how to do business, right? Now if you go into the supermarket, there are certain things in certain industries, like dairy, for example. Dairy is a very big challenge in Tanzania.
Okay.
It's a huge challenge. There are no Tanzanian butter factories.
Okay.
There is no butter. All the butter the African butter is coming from Kenya, because they have certain policies in place to support the dairy farming industry. So they're able to use whatever leverage they have to buy more machines, to build
Okay.
more factories, to do more things.
Are you talking about a country? Tanzania is what, about almost 60 million?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
No, but then again, butter is not necessarily a part of the staple.
Okay, the staple.
Right.
Yeah.
So milk is mostly like kefir,
Mhm.
like a cultured milk or fresh milk. But butter, if you said, okay, I want to become the best baker or the best wedding cake maker,
Yeah.
it will cost you more because you're going to have to import
Yeah.
butter. And that's such a basic thing. And I find that across all industries, these basic things, the things that we take for granted that should be so easily accessible that you don't even think about it, you just go and buy it.
Yeah, yeah.
Those things cost here, you know? So when we see open borders and those new immigration policies and those new trade policies coming into play, you're going to find that there are certain places that are less prepared than others.
But do you think that hopefully something from Tanzania would be able to offset that going into Kenya, or because the infrastructure is kind of like,
The infrastructure is there, but what I really think is, let's take, for example, if you travel throughout Europe or throughout the US, you have these small communities. So you have, let's say, for example, in Belgium, you have, a section in Belgium where it's just Africans or the Rwandese, right?
yeah.
You have a section in Belgium where,
Amsterdam the same.
where you have a ton of Jamaicans.
Yeah.
You have a section where it's, and everyone, has their own businesses and their own commerce and their own everything. And that immigrant community bringing their knowledge, their know-how, their diversity, their skills, their exposure and working together, that grows into what you would call economies,
Okay.
right? And so when you have an environment like Tanzania, where it is not necessarily such a strong community of foreigners, with the exception of, people like the Turks and the Indians who are here for business, and at the end of the day, those funds are exported out of Tanzania. They're not necessarily here in Tanzania, living here, working here, sending their children to school here, and supporting the community and building up community. So when you don't have that kind of network, you're going to have those kinds of challenges. And I think if Tanzania is smart, they should leverage the diaspora who are coming here, not just the Tanzanian diaspora. They need to also be looking at the African Americans, the British, the Caribbean people. They need to be looking at them as a collective group, as their secret weapon. Because the fifth column. Because the resources are here, but instead of making things more accessible for us to work together, the logistics and the things are just a little bit more challenging. And because they're more challenging, time is money, it's more expensive. Yeah. So, I think if they're intelligent, they can look at what do we have here and how can we leverage what we have. Because when the like now, for example, we want to go to Kenya, or we want to go to Mozambique, or we want to go to Rwanda, those options and opportunities are there. But Tanzania has these ridiculous, enormous, expensive tax brackets and costs of doing business associated with it. Right. So there are so many things that they could look at. Yeah, so many things that they could look at as far as the diaspora, right? Visas need to be reviewed, even for companies who are registered here. They need to look at more extended time. They need to look at giving companies more breaks and leverages depending on the size of the company, for how they can navigate in their particular spheres. I think now they're waking up and they're beginning to see it. But the more difficult they make certain policies for immigrants returning to coming to Tanzania with the idea of investing, every single time people leave, they're leaving with their money, their ideas, generations of knowledge. They're allowing to get back on those planes out of frustration and going back to start all over again and build up the West and build up Europe and build up everything. So they need to start talking to folks like me.
Some kind of committee,
yes,
some department who's going to deal with the influx of people.
Absolutely. Yes. And how to use the businesses that are here to help to form communities by allowing, more flexibility, in certain things. So I think that is something that they need to genuinely look at, because once someone is here and registered in a business, they've got them.
So you want to try and hold them?
You want to hold
them the opportunity.
Yes. Yes. You want to hold them and their parents, their sister, their aunt. You want to hold on to them and their knowledge, anything that they've learned from the West. They're gonna need it, because once free trade and free movement of people starts, really happening, Tanzania is going to find themselves behind, even though they're such a gem. So I know you visited Zanzibar, so I want to hear some more about your experience to Zanzibar. For those who have never been, can you tell us what was that like?
Zanzibar, okay, different to that, the island. Landed there and driving through, like I said, where I'm living now, where I migrated from to go to Aruba. Aruba is flat,
Mhm.
and think of it, those of you who are in the States or so and know Arizona.
Mhm. Arizona.
Yeah, it's basically that's Aruba.
Flat.
It's
Oh,
dry,
dry.
cacti,
Yes. Cactus and
and
tumbleweed.
aloe vera.
Aloe vera.
With one or two other people trying to grow something here and there by the yard, very small.
Yeah.
But beautiful beaches. That's Aruba.
Aruba. Uh-huh.
So Zanzibar to me is Grenada.
Wow. With the lush greenery.
Yes, the
Wow.
spices. Because
Wow.
they call Grenada the spice of the
Yes.
Caribbean.
Uh-huh. Zanzibar is a spice
Spice of
island.
yeah.
Yes.
So when I did the spice farm, I knew all the spices. I let the boy
Yes.
talk, and then I'd say, okay, I know
Yeah.
90% of them. Some I didn't even remember, but yeah. And the fact I was able to eat chili over there.
Oh, Shelly, Shelly, yes. So Shelly is breadfruit.
Yeah. So my friend brought me 3 breadfruit, and it was full.
Yes.
I make a little what Jamaicans call rundown.
Oh my
So I make
gosh.
when we grate it, we call it
Grate to
oil
the
down.
coconut and you,
Yeah,
oh my
yeah.
gosh.
And two of them, by the morning from afternoon, one evening to the next day, it
Yeah.
started to feel a little soft. Well, I went and I roast those on the stove.
Wow. With nice and turn and a
Yeah,
little
it
bit
just got
sweet.
to, yeah.
Yeah,
It
little
tastes like
bit.
a plantain, like just when it
Yeah.
started to turn. So I had those
Wow.
like that, yeah. So,
Yeah, man.
but Zanzibar, yeah, not how you say a volcanic island as those in the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
So less hills and so forth.
Yeah.
Still have a good amount of open spaces.
Yes.
But the greenery, and when I see banana trees, I would look at how much leaves they
Leaves.
have, how healthy they look, and stuff like that. I'm like, damn, they got good soil.
Great
So that's what I
soil.
would look at. Walking through the one of the forest area,
Mm-hmm.
man, the set of mahogany trees.
Wow.
When I walked through that forest, I was like, whoa, now I could see the furniture, the woodwork, the
Yes.
carving,
Yeah.
and then you see some of those effects. The beaches, they have some nice inlets. They're not all long, beautiful
Yes,
white
they're
sand
like
beaches, but
little
the
caves,
very
little
nice
coves.
area.
Mm-hmm.
What was astonishing to me, I knew about it, but to experience it now, I've experienced part of it here,
Mm-hmm.
but going to Zanzibar and seeing it, the high tide and the
Low
low tide.
tide. Mm-hmm.
I don't know, for some, and I guess somebody who likes looking at the stars or looking at the sea is something unique to realize how far out,
Out it goes.
yeah, the tide, when the tide is out.
Yes.
That was an experience. The water is a little more cool,
Mm-hmm.
and we get a chance to swim with the dolphins.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, that was nice. Although they had some not how you call it, not jellyfish, but they had some other small fishes
Mm-hmm.
that we got sting a little bit, but nothing major.
Yeah.
But also that was like about 40 small boats. And it was
Wow.
like in
Oh,
there.
so you went to Kizimkazi?
That's what it's called.
Where you get
Area?
into the small boat and you sail all the way
Yeah.
out where
Mm.
Mama Samia comes from?
Yeah, I think
Yes,
yeah,
her
that's the
yes.
area in that area. Yeah.
Yes.
And then
So
we had the dolphin.
and you jumped in
Oh
with the
yeah, we
dolphin?
jumped. Never saw we jumped in. Yeah, I
Wow.
jumped in. I think about 3 times. And once I saw a school because you would see
Yes,
one or
one,
two on
two,
top.
yeah.
But when you're able to look in a glass and you snorkel and you go down a little bit and you realize
It's
how
a
deep.
pod.
And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's like I could have said at least 30 dolphins
Wow.
was in one of those schools. And
Wow.
that was huge. And the big, the real good sized dolphins. So that was nice. That was an experience. That's a lifetime experience.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
We've had that experience and I rate Jojo as the official dolphin spotter.
okay. Oh
Because
yes, it's good spot for the
yeah, she
captain
would
and then
spot yeah, she would spot it when no one else was looking. She could
they're
tell.
over there. They're over there.
Yeah.
All the boats would
Yeah,
come in.
all the boat exactly.
Yeah,
So she would.
yeah.
So every time we go, our boat would be the boat they
First
follow
one.
because
Okay.
Jojo she.
She spotted that. So yeah, and some real nice. How you say? I would call them maybe mm, restaurants on stilts over the sea.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Outlooking. So the people who just want to be by the ocean
Yes.
and dine, and
Yeah.
whether it's in the evening or just nice sunset,
Yes.
definitely,
So
definitely.
between Zanzibar and Dar, where do you prefer?
Me personally, it would be Zanzibar because
Wow.
I'm not a city person.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
although I like the idea of being among my people.
Yeah.
But in the evening time, I would like to maybe take a half an hour drive and go to my little area.
Like
You know?
how we are here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So definitely,
like a
yeah,
retreat, like
yeah,
just
yeah,
get away from
yeah,
it.
the
Yeah.
city, you know. So if you have to do business, you're close enough
Mm-hmm.
that you can still get away. So from that aspect, yeah, you know, I'm planting. But I haven't seen, and when I say that, I'm only referring to the city there.
Yes.
Because in driving out,
Yeah.
then you feel the difference also.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we did a drive to Mikumi National Park.
Yeah.
So that was, you know.
How was that? How was Mikumi?
I say in the night is like your air conditioner is on.
Did you see any
Oh
animals?
yeah, we did. The
What?
only thing we didn't see was rhino, elephants,
Mm-hmm.
and what the guide told us was that because the national park they do a lot of burning
Yes.
when it's control and
It's
that.
called it's fire control.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they burn a lot, and
Yeah.
maybe you could find some other solution for that
Yeah.
because a lot of smoke.
Yeah.
I think that business idea when I see the amount of burning that
Oh,
they're doing.
please talk about the business ideas because
Yeah, because I mean,
it,
you
you
know, there's so many other places that could probably, whether you use animal dung or create some kind of compost and export it.
I'm telling
You
you.
know, there's possibility with all of that grass, instead of just burning it and the carbon going up in the air and stuff,
Yeah.
you can just create a company and you deal with a national park, you cut and you make compost.
I'm telling
You
you,
know?
it says it when we say it like that,
Mhm.
it sounds so simplistic
Yeah.
because for us in the West,
Mhm.
that's exactly how
Yeah,
it
because
would
we go
work.
and buy
We would go and just
plant
do
food
it,
and
you
plant a
know?
bag of soil and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, but when it comes down
To
to
the
like the get
logistics.
Jesus
I
to
can
the
imagine. I
to
can
the
imagine.
to the
Yeah.
getting the
Mm.
things done,
Yeah.
but but from what you see, because I've been saying for years that there's a lot of business
Oh
opportunities.
yeah.
Like this place is a brick house.
Mhm.
Like it is amazing if you are business minded. But I think um you also have to be tenacious.
I
You
think so too. Yeah, because but you have the workforce,
mhm,
but then
the
I don't know if
skills,
you're service
the skill.
minded and the skill set,
Yeah.
and then you have the barrier, the language barrier.
Yes.
So you would have to train. But I
Yeah.
know we as African people, we learn by looking and you know,
Yeah.
and we can adapt pretty quick.
Yes.
So I think that would be one of the ways, but it would take a little time.
Yeah. I think skills and training development is a necessity,
Yes,
and I
yes.
think if someone set up like a labor training center where
Mhm.
they taught it customer service, they
Yes.
taught, basic things, English, working business English, things like that to like help people improve a little bit. But there is a very big difference between teaching and being submersed into
Yeah.
what is required, like
Mhm.
what you need to do. So I've been looking at this like so many different ways.
Mhm.
But there are things here that people can participate in because the need is here. It's just like, how do you
And on all levels, huh?
meet the
Because
need?
going back, sorry, but
Mm-hmm.
going back to that same thing. In driving coming back,
Mm-hmm.
the driver said, "This is one." When we ask, we see so much trucks and it's just a 2 lane
Mm-hmm.
highway. Some of it is bad, some of it is a little
Yeah.
better, and the trucks overtaken. And you know, and he said this is one of the main routes for Malawi.
Yes.
And coming back now, he took us because going we went the Bagamoyo route,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and coming back he came straight down into Dar es Salaam.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, he said this is Magafuli Highway, 6 lanes. I'm like, this is what we need.
Yeah.
Imagine if that highway is to continue all the way to Malawi, and you have others which would continue to down to the south, Uganda,
Uganda. Yeah.
and other in
Yeah.
landlocked
In landlocked and
yeah
yeah.
countries.
Yeah, I think what he was trying to do is focus on the rail.
Mm.
So he has a rail system that goes to the interior,
Okay.
and then from there,
You
so
can pick up
yeah,
again
you
and
can pick
go.
up, yeah.
Yeah, but and it goes to show you how the
Mhm.
number that
Mhm.
the colonizers played on Africa.
Mhm.
You know,
What do you
because
mean?
in I always used to say England just took from Grenada.
Mhm. Everyone.
They didn't leave anything
No crumbs.
in terms of infrastructure other than a rum factory. You know, show you how to make rum, in my opinion. And to me, Africa hasn't been different. It's like they create the outlet or just how to take things
Take
out.
out.
Yeah,
How to take
just
it
the
out
stuff.
instead of develop it.
Yeah.
And you know, in my idealistic thinking,
Mhm.
right, is when I started this company, my view was okay, what we're the East Africa Seaweed Company is to like build processing in
Yeah.
Tanzania,
Yeah.
right? We can do it instead of, you know, exporting all of the raw
Raw material.
materials and then leaving nothing for the Tanzanians. What about jobs? What about infrastructure? What about resources?
Yeah.
Because this is a resource. CMOS
Of
is their
course.
second largest export, and it's a
Oh.
multi-billion dollar
Mhm.
industry. But the people who do the exporting, those people don't have any interest in developing the industry here.
Okay.
So I
Yeah.
thought, okay, well, if they're leaving crumbs on the table, you know, that's money on the table. If we
Yeah.
can develop, you know, an industry behind that. But it is easier said than done, because what Africa understands is export.
Yeah. Yeah.
They understand export. They do not understand this.
Added value to
Yeah,
the natural
yes.
resources.
This kumbaya, let's come together, let's do, you know, I'm not an NGO. So when an NGO, a private company starts saying, listen, what we need to be doing is focusing on developing things here, the infrastructure, and doing small scale processing and manufacturing here and adding value to goods and bringing in the communities that do the farming and, you know, build that interconnectedness.
Yeah.
Those are the things that we need to be focusing on. And you won't get any kind of support or meeting or okay, that's a great idea. How can we work together to do this? Because they don't understand that. Meanwhile, in the West, where manufacturing is now is in co-sharing and co-packing, right? Where, you know, one company might be packing, they might have kalaloo,
Yeah.
but they don't have a factory to pack the kalaloo.
Yeah.
And another company has aki.
Mhm.
And so what they're doing now is like, okay, I'll pack your aki for your kalaloo for
Yeah.
you in the
Yeah.
can, and then I'll split the cost with you. That's where the world is now in manufacturing. But we're not even at the point of building something to say,
Yeah.
okay, let's work together. So trying to like bring that thinking, to
Yeah.
bring that
Yeah.
forward thinking to like, this is where we need to be
Yeah.
right now. Because by the time you put yourself in debt to open a factory on your own,
Yeah.
you know, it's not beneficial for the remainder of the people who also have to put themselves in debt.
So, and what the driver told me that Magafuli built those parts without going to what it was, the IMF, the World
He did
Bank,
not.
or,
He,
or any other
yes,
institute. He
he,
built it with Tanzanian money.
okay,
So if you have that kind of mindset coming from the top,
yes,
that would be a game changer.
right. So, you know, it's a game changer, and you also have to understand, where does that money come from? And this is part of, you know, the thing is, Tanzania made a decision a long time ago. They're not going to go to the IMF,
Okay.
and they're not going to go to the World Bank. This is not to say that they haven't gone.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But where the country has made its own decisions is focusing on foreign direct investment as its means of financing. And this is when things start to get hairy, because when a foreigner comes, he doesn't have anywhere to live. He doesn't know anyone. It's not like he can call his brother and cousins to say, come over and help me build this restaurant or build a factory.
Yeah.
He has to finance all of that himself. So there is not a lot of support for the foreign investor, but the foreign investor is the policy.
Okay.
That is the actual policy. So if you read the Arusha papers, you will find that this is the lining. Yes. 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 So the foreign investors have to understand that Tanzania does not have a small and medium enterprise philosophy.
Oh.
There is no small and medium enterprise strategy. And after the global collapse, you see where other countries like the United States and the United Kingdom, they're now focusing sharply on a small and medium enterprise strategy, because they learned something, that when anything goes wrong, the large corporations, they pull out their money first. They don't live there. They don't care. So the main street, the people who actually live there and have businesses there, they're more vested in the success of the community. So allowing ease of loans and access. So Tanzania ranks number 135 of 144 countries in ease of doing business. Yeah, we're way down there. So being able to access funds and access things from a small and medium enterprise perspective, it is extraordinarily difficult. Very difficult to enter. So, those are some of the things that we have to understand. Like, yeah, they're big, beautiful bridges, but those bridges are built by the foreign direct investors. And what they do is they have things that they say, okay, yeah, we would like to bring investors. But when the investor comes, there is very little support and aftercare. And those are some of the things that I've brought up publicly before. And I think if Tanzania gets that right, like start working on a small and medium enterprise strategy and start working with the financial institutions for accessing loans and start working with institutions for foreign investors to access grants, that it puts it in a completely different ball game, because now we have foreign knowledge and know-how, and we have African resources, and we have people who are vested in the continent to see it develop. And so it can only go towards success because we have at least 10 years since the last global recession that we can look back economically and say a small and medium enterprise strategy is what's carrying these countries. But meanwhile we have these middle income economies that are having Dubai and Egypt outlooks on economy when it doesn't work. Right now we have war in Russia. The oil price, gas increased, increased the cost of food. Everything is difficult. Money isn't really turning over. And the big guys what they do at the end of the day, they export the money out. And when it's not making the kind of money that they came for, they leave. So
Different approach.
a completely different approach. So, that's getting into all of the politics and all of the things, them and thing. And I know it's kind of long. I know it long, but me like say when I learn some things, So, oh yeah. So I'm happy that you were able to make it. So how was your stay been at the Exodus House? I'm so glad you chose us for your sojourn.
Well, I have to say, I saw you on your lives or your tapes that you put up when you and Jojo was on your way here. So I saw those episodes.
Yes.
And I saw when you started here. So I kind of like see this place come together. But the mere fact of and those times I never would I actually stay at it wasn't
It
to
did.
be here
Wow.
and to see what you have done with the place.
Wow.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. You did a great job. There's always room for improvement.
Yes,
Because if
naturally.
you're open-minded and hey, you can't just say I built it and it's done.
Yeah, no,
know?
you have to do kidogo
Because
kidogo.
when you look at the area in the back, the view, and it all depends. Once you put out your vision as to where you want it to go. I
Yes.
may see certain things, and maybe because it's so peaceful,
Mm-hmm.
it's quiet, you can relax.
Mm-hmm.
It all depends on which direction you want to go with it,
Yeah.
or you want to stay in this range.
Yeah.
But where it was, the struggle with the phone needs. The struggle with the phone needs. And this window and this. I remember when you take back the windows, the wrong color. I want the color. The color has to be blue.
But how does the blue windows look with that reflection of the sea?
Yeah.
When you're out there on that cliff and you see the sun and the sea reflecting on this blue, it's
so your vision, you knew what you wanted. So I don't know you wasn't taking those other windows.
no, man, the restaurant too. You also got to go to the restaurant. What was that like?
Beautiful lunch.
Thank you.
Rasta pasta.
Rasta pasta.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm sure your viewers have seen you in the restaurant. So the colors are carrying through.
Yeah,
to the restaurant.
it's straight through to the restaurant. But the restaurant also, didn't mean to cut, but the restaurant was also construction nightmare.
I don't know how much you post of that, but
I didn't.
But I follow this one. I mean, true and true. The tiles, and the knowledge you give out when you talk about. People say these are Spanish styles, but actually
they're Moroccan. Yeah,
so you're educating as you go along, and to be able to walk through a tinga and see
the tinga room, and that's the room you're in. Yes.
And see the paintings.
Yeah.
To know that you put in some of the, not just how you might say the overseer.
Yeah.
But some of your personal pieces that you paint, the door, the different things, it makes it a special. It makes it a special place to be.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
It makes it a special place to be.
When I was building this, I had no intention to ever be here. It was solely for the people coming, the impression that they would have of Africa. If you're coming to Africa for the first time, and you could walk in that garden and you could sit by that beach and you can, look through those windows. That's what I wanted to put in people's mind, that this is somewhere valuable and important to be, because every single one of us, we are living a dream.
Yeah. And at least, sorry to cut you off, at least once a day when the tide is out, you can walk for more than a mile
on this white sand beach.
It's a nice walk. It's a peaceful walk. So that I did that many times.
Yeah.
Definitely. And it's a huge property.
Yeah.
It's a huge property. So like I said, it all depends. Sky's the limit, man. There's no limit.
No.
To what you could do as to where you want to go once you set your mind to it. So definitely.
Yes.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm so happy that you made the journey. I'm so happy that you have a lot to take back in your memories, with your heart, with you and your family. And excuse me, if you had to give people looking to come to Tanzania advice, what do you have to share to say, like, do this, do that, don't do this? What are your do's and don'ts, or what is the positives that you want people to take away?
Don'ts.
Yeah.
Come with an open mind. No matter how much you see, whether it's me or all the other YouTubers.
Yeah.
Come with an open mind. if you're not someone who is from a big, I mean, maybe this is for the island people
Yeah.
because I mean, the place is vast.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's so many different aspects of it. You know, whether it's a market aspect of just being, I mean, you look at a little simple football game, when you see the crowd, you're like, man, they go crazy. You know, but then you have the village, like once you leave the main road, you go down a dirt road, you never know what's
What's
good
down
because I've been
there?
walking around, you know. So come most of all come with an open mind that you could and appreciate, observe, see how you could interact
Mm-hmm.
and so forth. There is some there's little challenge, but I must say we've been here for 39 days and we only had one time when electricity went for a very short period of
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So you know things are
Stable.
stabilizing
Yeah.
and it's nice. Traffic, there is some traffic based on the hour of the day because you see the differences when
Absolutely.
you travel. But
Mm-hmm.
like anywhere else, uh, infrastructure, foods, you have to. I think I'm learning. I haven't been here long enough, but if you get the rhythm of the
Mm-hmm.
people, you know when to go and buy grains,
Uh-huh.
when not to go,
Yes.
you know when to
What
get
time
your
of the
fruits.
day? Yeah.
Yeah.
Where to get the
So
fish? Where to
those,
get.
yeah, those kind of things you have to pick up as you go along.
Yes.
So, but that, yeah. So, but I think definitely come,
Definitely come.
definitely come,
Definitely come. Yes.
definitely come.
And come to the Exodus house.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. If you want a nice quiet space,
Decompressing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because when you go through the gate, you feel that,
Like something has
yeah,
fallen off.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
You know, it's where you can have that peace of mind. I like that.
Yes.
You know,
That's
so
what
definitely.
that's exactly what
Mhm,
I wanted.
mhm.
You know, I wanted that for people because like I said, we're carrying the spirit of our ancestors. We're carrying this memory, this generational memory that has been impacted
Yeah.
inside of us for hundreds of years.
Mhm.
It is imprinted in our DNA to return to Africa.
Yeah.
We Caribbean people, we Africanize all African countries. We don't particularly care which one it is
Of course not.
because we
Yeah.
know that when we were taken,
Mhm.
it was one big old
Of
place.
course, yeah. Before what, 1885 or whenever
Yeah,
the Berlin thing was?
before the Berlin Conference,
Yes,
it was
yes.
one big old
Mhm,
place.
mhm.
And, you know, we Western people, we traveled to South Africa, we traveled all over.
Mhm.
Okay, we travel from east to west. There is a thing called the Bantu migration that
Yeah.
people should go and
Look
research
up,
and
yeah.
look it up
Mhm,
and see the movement of African people,
mhm.
how we migrated from west to east and east to west and from South Africa to the north and the
Yeah.
central areas from the Congo
Mhm.
and all of these different movements of African people. So, you know, we have a way. People want us to hold on to a nationality in an
Yeah,
African
yeah. Don't
country,
let that hold you down.
right? To say,
Mhm,
well, I'm not Tanzanian,
mhm,
but
mhm,
I know one thing for sure, I'm
mhm.
African.
Yeah, yeah.
As long,
Definitely,
and as
definitely.
long as Africa, Tanzania is in Africa, I am where I'm
Yeah,
supposed to
yeah.
be.
If you hold that first,
Yes, yes,
you can go. Yeah,
yes. When
yeah,
they
yeah.
took us, there were no borders, there
No,
were no
no,
names. We had one big continent for
that you could
ourselves
roam.
that we roamed
Yes,
when we
yes.
wanted to
Mhm.
on foot.
Yep, 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 definitely. So Africa, the continent is there, and wherever you feel like you need to make that first journey, make it.
Yes,
If you are on this part of the continent
yes.
and you want someplace where you could, how you say, relax,
Decompress.
yeah, decompress.
Yeah,
I would say get to know yourself again.
yes.
The African house, Exodus house,
Exodus house.
Exodus
Yes.
house, definitely.
So
Yeah.
thank you so much. And the question is,
Mhm.
will you be coming back?
Not for now.
Fair enough.
Reason why, as you just stated a while ago, there are 54 countries,
Yes.
and this is my first journey. But
Okay.
it would not be the last on
Last.
the continent.
Beautiful. But
As a
you're
ma-
going to go and see other
yes,
places.
definitely. As a matter
Wow.
of fact, when I get back to Aruba now, I'm starting to work. If it's Not next August,
Yes.
the following August, have to be on the continent again.
Wow. So
Yes.
that's a beautiful thing
Mhm.
to say, right? Because there's so many other places
Yeah.
to see and
See
to
what fits for
visit,
you.
to see where,
Mhm.
what fits, what works.
Yeah.
And in my case, like probably Tanzania,
Mhm.
knowing all I know now would
Mhm.
be I would probably look at it sideways.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the time when I came, I knew this is where I was supposed to be,
Okay. Okay.
and I never questioned it
Mhm.
because I know I was following an energy, a spirit to say, this is where you need to be. So, with that being said, I'm happy that you feel that way, that you will be coming back
Oh,
to
yeah.
Africa.
At least 4 trips before I
Yes,
decide where.
where
Yes.
you would settle.
Yes. Yes.
Wow. And as far as the family, the children, how are they feeling about
Well,
it?
one is grown, finishing college.
Yeah.
So he would have to make his own decision.
Yes.
I would like him to come. The younger one, someone advised me yesterday who have been moving around. She said, whatever you do, maybe you need to plan a little later or sooner. But
Yes.
try not to move with a teenager.
Yes, exactly. So
The teenagers are sometimes
yes,
like, but
they make friends and they
yeah.
make networks, and if they don't make
Yeah.
good immigrants.
Yeah. Yes. But other than that, definitely, yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So, Brother Sonny, thank you so much for taking the time and sharing your experience with everyone. Thank you so much for coming to the Exodus House, blessing us with your family, your presence. It was a joy having you guys here. And I can't wait to see where you go next, what's
Yeah.
going on
Yeah.
next,
Well, thank
But
you, Rennie.
you're
Thank
very
you.
welcome.
I have this token for you.
Oh, beautiful.
This is a brand that we have
Oh, yeah. Check it out,
on
people.
Aruba.
And
And
look at
those of
that.
you who have been to Aruba,
Aruba, Baby
Baby Beach
Beach.
is a little
You
ink
see
there.
that?
And you would find us there because we're working on the last part now.
Wow.
We're entrepreneurs and we'll be on the beach with our
Baby Beach.
souvenir.
So this is great. So Baby Beach is a small little cove islet in Aruba.
Yeah.
And they have pretty much like it's like Miami Beach. They have the restaurants, they have everything. So these entrepreneurs are working on their brand. I love Baby Beach, and I love it.
And
I
we'll
love
be there
it.
with CMOS,
And they're I forgot to tell y'all. So these are CMOS entrepreneurs.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I make
Yes.
CMOS. I make
So
CMOS.
he makes
The
CMOS,
drinks and the gel.
the drinks, the gels, the
Yeah.
smoothies. He gets
Mhm.
them
We'll
from
have those on Baby Beach.
yes. So he will have them on Baby Beach. So people who are going to Aruba, white sand, pretty nice, good looking Baby Beach. You have a friend in Aruba. Go and check them out, okay? And I'm sure if you look this up, I love Baby Beach, you will find them as well.
Yes.
So thank you, Brother Sonny, and I hope
one
to
is for you.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, anything else?
I just want to say it was a pleasure and a dream come true in a way
Beautiful.
to be here at the Exodus House.
Thank
See
you.
it grow, to be able to meet you, and it was my pleasure.
Beautiful.
Definitely.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, y'all. Thank you so very much for watching. We're gonna end it here. It's been, a long, long one, but it was a great one. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Oh man, it was 1 hour.